The magical moment at Melbourne's Olympic Park tonight as the legendary Brazilians make their debut in the bicentennial Gold Cup for their match against Australia. Hello and welcome everyone to day 2 of the Gold Cup, with Australia trying to repeat or hopefully even beat the wonderful effort by Saudi Arabia last night against Argentina. And a man with a better idea than most of how the Socceroos will go against some of the most expensive soccer talent on earth is former Socceroo captain Johnny Warren. John, certainly a lot of excitement here tonight with the Brazilian commentators already going into a trance.
Well, that's only a preview. It sounds like the stock market or the fish markets, doesn't it? But wait till they score a goal, you really hear them.
John, the Brazilians look a tougher proposition tonight than the Argentinians. Can Australia get a good result?
I think they can. For the Australian players, apart from playing in the Olympics and a World Cup, there's no greater honour than to play against Brazil, a country we all admire. Australia at home are always difficult to beat. You've got a wet surface here tonight, which the Brazilians won't like. It's a big moment for our Australian team, and I think they're going to surprise the Brazilians
What was the mood with the team in the changing rooms?
Very, very positive. They're looking forward to it, particularly players like John Kosmina, his 100th game. I mean, it's a big night for Australian soccer, and hopefully our Socceroos don't let us down. OK,
John, we'll talk to you again shortly. So, a wonderful night with endless possibilities and what promises to be a memorable evening for Australian soccer. And here to take us all through it is our commentator, Martin Tyler.
Well, John Kosmina could hardly have picked more memorable opposition for his 100th appearance for Australia, his 59th in full internationals, 12 years of tremendous service to his country. Kosmina's a key figure in Frank Arok's side, with plenty of attacking help from Frank Farina and Graham Arnold. It's strong in midfield too, with the effervescent Paul Wade and the playmaker Oscar Crino. The one disappointment, Mike Peterson, is injured, but there's a capable deputy in Alan Davidson. As for Brazil, only Muller, who's just joined Torino in Italy, is a survivor from the 1986 World Cup. Giovanni and Valdo, orchestrators of the highest quality. The average age of the side is only 23, and the youngest is Careca. Now, don't confuse him with the Napoli striker of the same name. This Careca, only 19, but bursting with potential as an attacking midfield player. So away we go. Referee is Richard Lawrence from Sydney. And a night and a game which is going to be a real barometer for the Australian team. The pitch definitely on the wet side, but they have taken a lot of surface water off today. The ground staff have worked hard here. And working hard for the Socceroos is Graham Arnold, and Australia have the first corner. Frank Arok has promised a most positive beginning. Dunn, the tall figure, right in front of the goalkeeper, Taffarel, but there's no challenge there. The corner was overhit, taken by Crino. Brazil are not without support in Olympic Park, as you can hear from the samba rhythm. Nelsinho had made one of those typical forward bursts, and Frank Farina, who's part of the attacking setup for Australia, may well find that he's got plenty of defending to do against Nelsinho's runs from left back. And Muller was the closest to the free kick for Brazil, wearing number 7. There's Graham Arnold. Part of really a club setup that Frank Arok has developed at national level for Australia, international level, I should say. Jankos is the captain and the sweeper. The left back, the dependable Graham Jennings. Crino. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of partisan support for Australia in the stadium, but at the moment it's almost respectful support, wondering quite what they're going to see from the opposition. There'll be a more realistic approach down there from Kosmina, a battle-hardened, hard-nosed campaigner. Aloisio. Brazil have qualified for the Olympics, and by strange irony, they're in the same group in Seoul as Australia. So maybe one or two things will be kept under wraps from the Brazilians. We must wait and see. Jorginho from the Flamengo club in Rio. Jankos. Ricardo, the Brazilian captain, with that honour for the first time. This is the little Vasco midfield player, Giovanni. Jorginho having problems with his balance, and one thing the slippery surface will mean is that Australia can really commit themselves to some sliding challenges, but they're losing their balance off the ball as well. In fact, Arnold went down in the middle, and he was just trying to get up in support of Crino. Is Alan Davidson, often used at right back, but quite capable of operating in midfield. Jankos. Aimed for Kosmina, who keeps it in play. Dunn, who's happily recovered from knee trouble that kept him out of the Olympic qualifiers. The star turn for Australia over the last couple of years, really, as far as the National League is concerned, and at times the international team, is Frank Farina, who seems bound to play in Europe next season, their next season, which will be starting in the next few weeks. Kosmina, Arnold, Dunn, all in there. And that's gone behind. So Tafarel, at 22, is Brazil's goalkeeper, plays for Internacional of Porto Alegre. Ricardo, one of the two centre-backs. Fair hair of Ademir. Jankos not needing to really go across on the cover, but that's a ball that Australia must worry about, because it'll be played into that space behind Wally Savor. That's Carlos Alberto Silva, second from the right as we look. And when Brazil are in town, so is the rhythm. Nelsinho, and Baldo got the header as the ball dipped in towards him, and Jeff Olver really called into action for the first time with 10 minutes gone. And this is how it happened. A stooping header, but straight at the goalkeeper. Careca. Looks very leggy, but for a tall man, has good balance. Baldo, who will play for Benfica in Portugal next season. Jorginho. Romario. In fact, Careca was in an offside position, and it wouldn't have counted. The flag went up straight away. The moment that Romario connected pretty sweetly on the half volley, although he couldn't keep the shot down. It didn't look offside to me, but the flag went up. In any case, it's a goal kick to be worked between Olver and Jankos. Kosmina couldn't change direction. That's going to be a real problem as the match goes on and the pitch cuts up more and more. Hasn't been a lot of rain today. It's a warmer evening and you do feel there might be more to come. I'm sure the Brazilians will appreciate the lifting of the temperature. It was very cold, down to near freezing in Melbourne earlier in the week. They didn't appreciate that at all. Down. Crino. Now Davidson. 20 players forward for Australia. Jennings. That's a corner. Enterprising work by Saver. Kareka not letting him get away. So Crino to take it. And he slipped at the vital moment. He kept in by Davidson. John, we knew it would be a bit difficult, but the players certainly having problems with their balance.
Yes, both. It was commented that Brazil would struggle in the wet. I also believe Australia do too. We don't play on wet surfaces here a lot. But both sides committed to having a go at one another, Martin. It's very pleasing.
Wade doing just that. Look how quickly he was closed down, but the ball ran for him. Arnold. But it was Kosmina using his back, really, unfairly.
Just back to the ground, I think it's more a matter of taking more away from Brazil and favouring Australia as such, because the Australians really don't like the wet surface. But you can always expect the unexpected on a wet surface, and both teams wanting to have a go at one another. You just get to feel you're in for a splendid match. Just on Australia, they've really got to get their corners beyond the far post to Wade. It's a tactic they've used very successfully, but on the two occasions so far, they haven't got to it.
Muller. Muller, whose nickname goes back to the great Gerd Muller of West Germany. In case you're not too familiar with the Brazilian style of names, they're actually given so many names that they select either a nickname or a shortened version of one of their names as a football name. Here's a man with a short name too, Robbie Dunn. Crino. And Taffarel having to come and performing bravely. Crino gets it back in. Farina had made the first thrust. And that will be Brazil's throw. But the most difficult moment so far for the Brazilians, appreciated by Eddie Thompson. But however sophisticated you are as a defender, you have to turn on a muddy pitch, it's going to be difficult. And a little clipped ball in over the top, as we saw a moment or two ago, will cause problems. Crino playing it wider this time to Wade. 3 forward in the centre for Australia. Farina. Aim for Graham Arnold, he's climbed well. Kosmina hoping to pounce on a mistake. He only needs 1 goal to equal the all-time Australian record. What a time it would be to get it here. Arnold knocked it down. Kosmina was lurking with intent. Schaefer towards Wade this time, and he climbed well, out by Muller. Australia must be careful not to overcommit. Incidentally, Australia did win round one of the battle when they got a message that Brazil wanted to wear their traditional yellow shirts. No way, said Frank Arok. We're the home team. We play in the gold. So that's why you see Brazil in blue. And a Brazil that are labouring in the mud at the moment. Crino brought down. Jennings take the free kick. Dunn spending more and more time up in and around the penalty area. It's over Kosmina, but not far enough to reach Robbie Dunn. Swept out by Valdo. And well done, Jennings. Didn't fall for that from Muller. In fact, Muller turned into the stronger side of Jennings, the left. Kosmina, no foul. And you can hear what the crowd thought of that. It's not an easy night for refereeing decisions, often having to rule on intent as players slip and slide. Muller is onside. Romario in the middle, and it was fiercely hit and pretty well defended by Australia, covering the dangerous near post area. Careca couldn't control it. Arnold, that was neatly done. Help on hand from Davidson. We're talking about the slipping and sliding. We mustn't neglect the effect on the stamina as well. These are sapping circumstances. Romario with a typical solo surge, and in the end running out of idea. Well played by Crino, giving Brazil a taste of their own medicine then. And every time that happens, that will be reflected in his teammates, because when you see that Brazil are really only flesh and blood, and plenty of ambition too from Farina, that's won another free kick. The number may be partly obscured, but the talent is clear for all to see. Jennings playing it short this time. Is a shot on for Davidson? He thought so. And Taffarel had to be wary of the bounce. Here's Careca. Only on the periphery of things so far. Just over half an hour gone. Valdo. Well, it looks easy, but that requires terrific technique to play a pass like that. Dunn takes the safe way out, facing his own goal. It's no contest really in the air. Robbie Dunn against Romario. But the Brazilians can make it dip over the tall defenders, though they didn't on that occasion. Crino didn't get the best header first time. Nelsinho, Romario, and the goal is given. Australia caught, feeling that there should have been an offside then. But the referee had a look. The scorer has a conflict of emotions, because because there's some damage to him. It was a miss-hit shot by Nelsinho that caught Australia out. It was finished so sharply by Romario. And the game can't restart yet because Romario is down injured. Well, the referee was perfectly placed to allow the goal. And we have the benefit of the replay. And Johnny Warren, it looked okay, didn't it?
Yes, it was perfectly okay. It was it wasn't offside, I should say. But the ironies of the game, Martin, Australia having their best 15 minutes, starting to really get on top. You have a mishit shot from Nelsinho, I believe, to the unmarked Romario. But that is the beauty of Romario, top scorer in Rio for the past 3 years.
Here's Crino. Jennings has made a good forward run, and Crino finds him because Jorginho slipped. Well, it's the first real sight of goal with Graham Arnold coming in at the back post. Frank Arok knows you don't get too many opportunities against Brazil. There's a great ball in from Jennings, crisply delivered. Arnold at the back post. Jennings across to take the corner. Kosmina is there, Dunn is waiting in the middle, Arnold of course. And Jennings can try again. Don't forget Paul Wade, the number 6. He's trying to lose Careca. Has done just that. Muller. Brazil streaming out. Back from Jankos. And the free kick is given against Kosmina. It's fair to say that Frank Arok didn't agree with the decision. But, you know, as a player, John, I think sometimes it's good to see the coach emotionally involved. There's been a little bit of criticism of Bobby Robson in the last European Championship, who rather looked on impassively.
Well, Frank's certainly involved. That would be an understatement, wouldn't it? Martin, just on the Australian team, Jennings getting forward there, that cross that led to the Arnold or the clearance, that's the type of game Australia needs, him getting forward. I know you can't with Muller there, but perhaps a reorganisation at the back would allow him to get forward a little bit more. But Australia's very dangerous when he can do that. He gets that cross in, he crosses well, and provides a danger, that provides a service for the heading ability of Arnold and Kosmina as our 2 strikers.
And to be fair, Muller doesn't seem too keen on marking Jennings, does he?
Well, he wouldn't. He's a typical star player, star forward. They're not keen on that dirty job. The problem for Australia, of course, is once Jennings goes forward and you leave Muller free, you're leaving yourself open to that quick counter-attack, which the Brazilians can do so well.
But Australia still press on. Another free kick. Again, the presence of Wade up alongside Robbie Dunn. Arnold, too, will launch himself at anything within reach. Crino, the senior citizen at set pieces, has gone across to take it and really hoists it in. Ricardo got to it first for Brazil. Arnold, Jennings gone outside him, but Arnold picking his own route. Davidson. Aloisio was playing them all onside. Davidson again. Farina. And although we talk about the strong running and skill on the ground of Frank Farina, we mustn't neglect the fact that he's very useful in the air too.
His heading ability's improved enormously the last 12 months, but that was a better service from Davidson. I feel Australia haven't got the ball in yet, have they, Martin? They're hitting the first man. They've got to get it over to give our guys a chance to get at it.
And it does look a way that might suit Australia. Might suit Wade here. Arnold, there's a lot of men in there, and numbers sometimes can do the trick. It didn't pay off that time. And Brazil happy to run the ball to relative safety. Trino, well played. Davidson. The flag was up. And Giovanni almost arrogantly laying the ball off then. Here's Muller. He's not eligible for the Olympic team. Number 7 has just run out of your picture, but everybody else is. Giovanni is an interesting character who's down at the moment. He was, as we look again at the pressure that Australia put on, and it just didn't run for Cosmina. But Giovanni was the best player, voted the best player, and in fact finished the top scorer in the World Youth Championship in 1983, which Brazil won in Mexico. But he rather lost his way then. Sometimes that's a hard time for starlets. They do get a lot of adulation. They're asked to be maybe more mature, and they have any right to be at that age. But he's come back. They tell me he's sorted out his problems off the field, and he must have done to have been selected for a tournament like this. He's certainly got the ability. Davidson with clear facial evidence of his background and his Japanese mother. But the good thing about this Australian team is that they are all genuine Australians, even if one or two of them may have been born outside the country. It's a collective effort. It's a point, John, I know that's very close to your heart.
Yeah, it's very dear to my heart. All players learned their football here. Quite appropriate, there were 22 players in the squad. They're all either Australian-born or learned their football here. And very proud Australians, and at the moment we're very proud of them, the performance they're putting up here tonight.
Here's Valdo. Muller. Careca going to the near posts. Ball didn't follow him, happily for Australia. Muller's right in there again. Good work by Arnold. Good team player. Davidson. Farina's through the middle, joined by Cosmina. But Alan Davidson looked away in disappointment with himself. Just a couple of minutes of the first half remaining. Valdo. Careca. This could spell danger, but it was hard to really lift the ball, not out of the mud, because that was on the better part of the pitch, really. But it's still wet, and in the end, it was a problem that Careca couldn't solve. What a good time it would be for Australia to do really what Saudi Arabia did last night. Grab a goal just towards half-time to really change the complexion of things. Wade. Well, the crowd getting a bit edgy, but he's right not to be pressed into a pass where the ball would have been given away, although that's in the end what did happen. And Miller. Well saved. Not the sort of shot, really, that Jeff Olver will be used to in the National League here, with all respect to the domestic game. Hardly any backlift. And surprising power. But he dealt with it, beat it down. John, we're in the final minute of the first half. Your thoughts on it?
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, Martin. I think it's been a splendid first half, given the conditions. Both teams have had a go at one another. I think Australia have played extremely well. Only shame is the match is so far decided by a goal which really hasn't done justice to the type of game we've seen so far.
But as they say, they all count.
They all count. It was splendidly put away, but was from a missed kick, and I feel Australia have done enough to at least share the honours in this first half.
Certainly shown themselves capable of forcing the tempo of the match. They will draw confidence for the second period from that. The last thing they want, though, now is to go 2 down. Here's Romario taunting them again. And Olver looked round behind him. And to his great relief, the ball was there. It could have been 2. And that was a heart-stopping moment for the goalkeeper. But in the end, he stopped the ball, which was what mattered. That's the worry, John, as we've been saying. The more Australia chase the game, try to dictate the game. Brazil, as they've shown a couple of times, even after taking the lead, speed on the break. They do lead at half-time. The goal after 32 minutes, scored by little Romario, protected against the elements by the vest underneath the blue shirt, but he's unveiled his party piece. Australia with plenty to think about at half-time and plenty of good things from their point of view. We'll get a reaction down on the pitch from John Kosmina talking to Charles Slade.
John, congratulations on playing your 100th game for Australia.
Thanks.
Tough conditions. Can you tell us, though, what your first impressions of Brazilian football are?
Well, they're obviously skillful. They're even showing some good touches and some good skills even in these conditions. But I think we've had the better of them this first half. The goal was against the run of play. We've had far more scoring chances than them. I think we've got more dangerous around the box. Hopefully second half we can nick one back.
Any particular plans of what you might change in the second half?
No, I think we've been going well. Keep going like we are. We're pressurising. They're giving the ball away. So it's working out how we wanted it to, except for the score.
So John Kosmina still confident that Australia can get up to at least draw level, hopefully win, as we start the second half.
Australia start the second half, having drawn plenty of heart from the first 45 minutes, although they're a goal down. Interestingly, it's Brazil's first full international of 1988. So it's more than 7 months since the team last got together. 1987 had mixed reward for them. They had a successful European tour. They won the Rouse Cup in a three-way competition with England and Scotland, but they performed disastrously in their own South American Championship, beaten 4-0 in the end by Chile. There was some inquest after that, I can tell you. No substitutions at half-time. And Carlos Alberto Silva not looking totally pleased with what he's seen from his team so far in this game, though they have the 1-goal advantage. Giovanni. Jorginho. Now Careca. Australia, though, able to break it up neatly enough. Mario trying to get in behind Jankos, but he kept his eye on the ball, did Australia's captain. Bruno. Here's Arnold. Farina, rather, with Arnold taking his position in the middle, and Farina twisting to get the ball back to Sabre. And Taffarel took that awkwardly, but well. He didn't get his body really into line. He had a difficult challenge to deal with as well, as Kosmina came in really breathing fire. So Taffarel is in the wars for the second time in the match. But not a prolonged stoppage this time. Giovanni. Davidson. Back for Wade. Now Wally Sabre. Which is how he asked me to pronounce his name, although known in many parts of Australia as Shavor. This is Jennings. Jennings with a throw. Oh, Kosmina was poised. Wade certainly is. Good save by Taffarel. Wade again. And that was a very frustrating moment at the end for Wade and for Frank Garrock. It fell so invitingly on the left foot, beaten out by Taffarel. Wade a second time, but by then, in trying to keep his balance, he was leaning back. And although he got power, the ball was always rising. And Johnny Warren alongside me was on his feet.
Well, you set a goal at half-time, Martin. We're going to get one. Paul Wade.
Mario Muller improvised then to find a pass with a difficult ball on the volley. This is Valdo. Jorginho going outside him. Good defence initially by Jennings, and he wants to join in further forward. It's Graham Jennings leading the charge. And it was a spirited effort too. If only, they're saying around the ground, but look how Jennings started it all off by winning it from Valdo, hurdling Ademir, and Arnold keeping it going with the flick. And Jennings so close. Giovanni. Davidson. Another example of the fact that it's difficult for Australia to play in the mud as well as for Brazil. I do hope that too much won't be taken away from Australia's performance, because the conditions are not typically Brazilian. It's difficult for both sides. Giovanni. Here's Careca. Although pulling out to this near side. Ademir involved as well.
Just on that ground question you were on about, Martin, the grounds here, once it rains, they're called off. The game is called off. So Australia has very limited experience playing in the mud.
Well, the Brazilians warming up their substitutes, keeping the players really warm on the bench as well. But it does look as though they are going to make a change. We saw Adu a moment or two ago, tall midfield player. Wade. And one of the most dangerous passes in these conditions is the back pass. I know some coaches who would actually order their players not to do it, even if it meant booting it into the stand. Well, we just had 16 minutes of the second half. The better openings in the second period coming Australia's way. Could have dropped anywhere. And my feeling is that one will drop right for an Australian boot. Now Carlos Alberto Silva wants to make his change. There is a theory in the game, you should never make a substitution when your team is defending at a corner. It tends to distract the concentration. Whether he'll wait for the corner to be taken, it looks as though it's going to be just that. Short play didn't work for Australia, and Brazil streaming out. Romario, Muller, Jorginho, Romario is offside. Careca not uncomfortable with the volley, which is a technique that frightens a lot of players even at this level. But now they do want to bring on Edu. A couple of players of this name who play in the top flight in Brazil. This is the Edu from Palmeiras. And indeed, that was the last touch of the ball for Careca in this match. And the substitution taking place in the 62nd minute. Olver beaten just once in unfortunate circumstances. Not for him, no blame attached to the goalkeeper. All just died then again, and on that occasion suited Giovanni. Edu, who likes to play on the left side of midfield. Giovanni. Valdo. Muller. Edu not really attuned to the pace of the battle so far. Remember that the winners, if there is a clear-cut result here, will go to the top of the 14 competition group. Losers to the bottom, with Argentina and Saudi Arabia each with a point. Here's Crino. Davidson up with him. It was played even wider in the direction of Jennings. Now the corners mount up, but what Australia need is a goal. Farina almost got himself free, with Arnold and Dunn distracting at the near post. And a lot of defenders drawn towards that area. The corner was hit deeper, but just beyond Frank Farina. The tradition of Brazilian football, there are difficulties in the domestic game. Growth of other sports there. Problem with some crowd violence. A chaotic domestic league where the clubs never really know from one season to the next just how the competition is going to be run. But still, they play in the streets, they play in the scrubland, they knock a ball around, of course, on Copacabana Beach. And it's still a production line of natural footballers. How Frank Arup would love to have such a supply. Measured ball out of defence by Davidson, collected by Farina, onto Crino, only Arnold ahead of him. Farina's there now. He has to hold it up. Kosmina. Farina for Crino, and Alan Davidson also involved in the move. Well, it's going to be a double substitution for Frank Arok. Number 17, Robbie Slater, and number 16, Vlado Bozinovski. And for both players, a first taste of international football. A weary Kosmina comes off, Davidson too. What a challenge for Bozinovski and for Slater to try and sort things out for Australia here against Brazil in their first international. And here is Bozinovski. Well, you think it doesn't happen with the substitutions. Italy against Denmark in the European Championship. 2 substitutes came on. Altobelli scored with his first touch and De Agostini shortly afterwards. That's when they think that the coaches are miracle workers. But Johnny Warren, Slater in particular has had an excellent domestic season, I believe.
Yes, he's in fine form. He also has a good understanding with Arnold and Jennings with the Sydney Croatia club. An outstanding season, and I think a good change. Australia had to try something. We're starting to run out of time, and it seems strange to be sitting here playing against Brazil and looking at your clock every minute to think, well, we're running out of time to score. But that's how this second half has been.
Yes, Australia making the pace. There is 15 minutes left. Bozinovski with a throw. Slater, who interested Nottingham Forest and had a trial with them. Edu. Jankos. Met by Nelsinho, only down to Giovanni, who's not really exerted the sort of influence from midfield that you might have expected. And all credit to Australia, but that hasn't happened. Edu. Giovanni. Jorginho slipped. Australia wanting to win it back now and break themselves. A little bit more pace injected up front with Slater. And Bozinovski, of course, plays his club football with Crino. So there's a good understanding there. Well, the Brazilians might not have heard of Frank Farina, but they certainly know about him now. On a muddy evening, Taffarel still has a clean sheet. Saver with a commendable show of ambition. And Giovanni was impeded by Crino, who were 4 yellow cards in the opening game shown last night. But Richard Lorenz has been able to maintain control without reaching for his top pocket. Well, he's kicking every ball mentally, Frank Arok. Oh, Brazil just a little guilty then of over-elaboration. Bozinovski very keen to make an impact here. And Crino as well. Well, it was a question of the right ball that time. There were 4 waiting in gold in the middle. Australia have a corner. Jennings leaving it for Crino. And Brazil caught napping by the short corner. And that was quick thinking on Australia's part, particularly by Crino. Onside, or was he? Well, it was a question of whether he was in his own half or not. That's what has upset Romario. Wozinowski. Played off by Crino. Intercepted, though, by Edu, who's got 2 to his left. Romario and Muller. Well, he wasn't really looking for help. And Australia had to take some drastic action this time through Jankos. Nowhere near the ball. Now, this is in Brazilian territory in terms of their speciality. The free kick from around 25 metres. But really, I can't think of another situation in the game, which has only got 11 minutes to run, when Australia have put themselves in this position and allowed Carlos Alberto Silva to wonder whether the rehearsal they've had, shooting at free kicks, is actually going to be put into practice in a match situation. Nelsinho pacing out a run. And some interesting defending by Australia. Jankos has gone in right on the line. You don't see that very often. Normally the defending team would try and keep a line on the edge of the area, because by having a player on the line, you invite any Brazilian to run in there without being offside.
It's a tactic they've used, Martin, against Israel, who are very good at free kicks also. They've used it successfully in the World Cup elimination games in '85 and again during the Olympic qualifiers. And they've used it again tonight to good effect.
Yes, I would think the Brazilians love a challenge in a free kick, and they'll say, well, you stand there and we'll try and put it past you. But they couldn't do it then. And Nelsinho, who took the free kick, is a real specialist. Often you see, John, the Brazilians fighting each other for the right to take the free kicks. They all fancy their chances. And you wouldn't want to be the coach having to tell one of them it's his job.
And always a direct shot, which amazes me a little bit. But I wonder why we put a wall up with them sometimes. They can curve and bend the ball so wickedly. But that was a good tactic by Australia. I'm sure it did catch Brazil out.
They've done quite well at the back in the air, Brazil, after some tentative moments. It's one of the strengths for Australia. The way out, though, for Brazil on this near side is Muller, a very rich young man now. And it's a free kick again to examine how well Australia can defend. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether Jankos retreats onto the line. At the moment, he's involved in organising the wall. Yes, there he goes. If we can move the camera a little bit, there we are. So, he's taking charge of that post. Muller! Well, the deflection could have gone anywhere. It's gone for a corner. I saw Holland do it once against France, and Platini took up the challenge and beat the man on the line. And a goal was scored. It was brilliant. Valdo then with the corner, and Olver really was a little lucky then. It needed only a brush with the boot of Romario after the goalkeeper had found himself in trouble at the near post. But it beat the lot. And really a second goal for Brazil would put an unrealistic look to the scoreline. Trino. Bozinovski. Farina. It's well hit too. Well, when we look back on the game, we'll be able to chart a list of near misses for Australia, often Frank Farina involved. That was an excellent effort. Ademir is to be replaced by Milton. Clearly carrying the effects of the injury earlier in the half. And Milton plays for Coritiba. Comes on for his second full international appearance. Played last year against Chile. It's going to be a fairly brief appearance, though. Romario. Valdo. Jorginho racing up outside him. Here he is. Romario going to the near post. There hasn't been a lot wrong with Australia's defending. They've looked a capable, organised outfit. Frino, it's a lovely pass, given the conditions particularly. Well, in Australia, they know that Frino is a talented playmaker, but he's performed well to a wider audience here, with the match being shown around the world. I just detect, John, in the feeling in the crowd, perhaps a little bit disappointment that they haven't seen really vintage Brazil. But we'll await your comment on that for just a moment, as Slater can't force the corner.
Well, they haven't seen vintage Brazil simply because Australia's prevented them from playing. That is the Australian strength. They can negate the good qualities of the other team. That is the pressurise them, the mental toughness. Again, that is Frank Arok's key word with this Socceroo team. And really, you can only play as well as the opposition allow you. Brazil are here serious. They are here with their best team. We're seeing Brazil's best team. And I think we've got to give credit to the Socceroos.
For sure. Yes, the Australian fan will be delighted to see the best of Brazil against Argentina and against Saudi Arabia.
Well, those teams may allow them more time to play. Our strength is that we don't allow them to play. And I think our team has done it splendidly tonight.
Jankos. Arnold. Farina is there again. But so too was Ricardo. Jennings. Adu. Here's Romario. We're 30 seconds into stoppage time, driven long by Jankos. It fell for Farina, but not quite where he wanted it. Milton. But the free kick goes in his favour. So the Australian public have seen Brazil at close quarters for the first time. They've seen some flicks, some touches, and a goal. But just as eye-catching in a different way, the qualities of the Socceroos. Drive, determination, and plenty of technique to go with it as well. Really led by the wholehearted performance of a very talented young footballer, Frank Farina. Still time. Well, Wade penalised for the nature of the jump. And when you are desperate, that's sometimes what happens. Desperate in terms of the result in the competition, but I would think very pleased with the way the game has gone overall. Brazil happy to use up time. A country who produces teams capable of tearing opposition apart at this level of the game. They haven't done that to Australia. The one goal that has won the match was a lucky one in the way it was really set up is too strong a description, but the way it happened, expertly finished by Romario in the 32nd minute. And 2 points for Brazil as Romario gives a special souvenir to one fan who's got on the pitch. But the souvenirs for the Socceroos will be memories of keeping it very close and a performance, Johnny Warren, that bodes well for the rest of the tournament for them.
Yes, the Socceroos would be desperately disappointed with justification. I feel they've not only outthought and outfought, but certainly outplayed Brazil, which is a great recommendation to the improvement in the football in our country.
Well, let's get a reaction straight away from Frank Orrock, who's down there with Charles Slade.
Frank, I imagine you're probably very disappointed.
Of course, you should be and must be disappointed when we played all over them, and at least we had 70% of the game. And just the ball wouldn't bounce for us, and the one accident goal decided the whole game, and the beautiful dreams are over because we played well. I'm very proud because that team is good, and we outplayed them, outsmarted them. The only single thing we couldn't do to put that ball behind the net.
I imagine the Brazilians would have great respect for Australian soccer tonight.
I don't know, probably they will tell us that the pitch didn't suit them, and that we've been closing them down and all the excuses, but definitely that game will change the opinion about Australia everywhere in the world, because it was seen about 65 countries.
Just quickly, Saudi Arabia on Saturday.
Oh, it's a different ball game. I think that the Saudis are excellent, but we will start once again from the very beginning, and we will try everything to win that one and still get to the final.
So a disappointed Frank Orrock, naturally, but still very determined to see Australia do well in this bicentennial Gold Cup. And I think that would sum up your attitude as well tonight.
Very
John?
disappointed, because I thought our boys did enough to win the match, if not perhaps to draw the match. But I thought it was a splendid advertisement for Australian football that they can compete. And don't forget that these boys are part-time players playing against the world professional players. And I thought they did Australian football proud tonight.
And I got the impression in the second half, a bit like last night with the Argentinians, that perhaps the Brazilians were happy to sit tight and hang on to what they had.
Yes, well, they're very cool and calm, weren't they? I mean, they're, again, professional players, and they know how to defend a result. But I feel very disappointed for our boys. I thought they did enough to get something out of the game.
So we'll look forward to Saturday night.
I'm a little bit worried about Saturday, because I would think this game mentally and physically has taken quite a bit out of them, and they only have the 1 day's rest, and I feel we're yet to see the best of the Saudis.
We thank you for joining us tonight. On behalf of the ABC team, it's good evening.